Yo, 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 what up, everybody? Okay, so we're doing a beach video. This is one of my favorite beaches in the entire world. This is Crescent Beach in Laguna. It is the beach that I grew up going to in middle school and high school. And so the reason why I like this beach so much is it's typically not a very crowded beach. And it's just this like beautiful crescent view here. The visibility is really good. It's fantastic for skimboarding or bodyboarding during when the tide is nice, and it gets absolutely packed in like peak summer because there's Emerald Bay right over there. But anyways, it's just like one of the most beautiful places. It always reminds me of a time when life was simpler. You know, when I was younger. You know, there's a lot of like experiences that I had here with friends. You know, I even like made out with one of my crushes back when I was like 16 over on that ledge over there. So there's just like it's just like a place of like high vibrational purity. And it's always nice to come and like just be in good energy. And this is a just beautiful beach. But anyways, so today I wanted to make a little video about the reason why we do open-eyed meditation at the beginning stage of practice versus closed-eyed meditation. And so closed-eyed meditation can help you go deeper into your experience of silence. However, in our Western world, we have so much sensory input that when we close our eyes, our mind has been impressed with so many things from our job, our career, advertising, marketing. There's so much external propaganda, external conditioning that our mind has to filter out whenever we take time to be silent, to go inward. And so when we meditate close-eyed and we don't have a good focus of our attention, and we don't really know how to actually find that place of stillness, when we close our eyes, it actually, big old helicopter going above over here. So when we close our eye, when we're learning to meditate and we close our eyes, it actually amplifies that internal world. It amplifies that internal dialogue. And so everything that's happening inside of us is a elemental generated experience, meaning that it's sensory in nature and that there's qualities to it. And so when we are starting the path of mysticism, we meditate with our eyes open. And the reason why we meditate with our eyes open is because we can set our physical sense of sight on a single point, and we can meditate and focus on that point. Because when we close our eyes and we try to focus, this sensory experience that we are so used to with the eyes and in receiving information through sight, it doesn't have anywhere to go. And so it actually kind of causes a little bit of a glitch internally. So what we do is we learn to meditate with our eyes open first. And when you have received the transmission of light, or when you meditate with someone who's a very good meditator who can take you into the realms of light, that actually amplifies and extends your ability to meditate deeper, quicker, much faster than you would normally do on your own. So the path of mysticism is all about taking the transmissions that you have received from a facilitator or a teacher, internalizing them into your own experience, your own practice, and then using that tuning fork effect, that empowerment, so that you can go deeper into your own practice faster. And then you have been helped up that stage of growth and evolution, right? That's the whole point of having a teacher, a facilitator, is that you get helped up. You're like, hey, this would normally take you like 2, 3, 4, 10 years on your own. You know, I'm going to help you get there in, fraction of the time, right? It's the whole point of a teacher or a guide or a facilitator, is that you can go faster, you can go further, faster, quicker. And then if you want to go and have more fun, you do it with a community and you do it with a Sangha. And then that's just, a beautiful way to live life. So when we're learning to meditate, we focus with our eyes open. And if you don't have somebody that can give you that transmission of light, what you can do to start awakening that in yourself is you can get a candle and you can meditate on the candle. And so eventually when you meditate on a candle, you will start to see the etheric or astral luminosity of that flame. You will start to see the aura of the candle flame. Then from that point, it will begin to expand and you'll start to see more light in the actual space, but it's not the same type of physical light that's emanating from the candle. It's this like it's this non-physical light. And so this is the exact light that we're starting to talk about. But when it's coming from a natural source of an element, like fire, for example, it's going to have the qualities of fire because it is emanating from the essence of the flame itself. So you meditate on the candle, you begin to quiet your mind, and you put all of your attention on the candle flame. This is a very traditional Zen-based practice. A lot of the Western magical schools, they have you do this because it's a very good way to learn how to meditate and focus your attention. So we meditate on the candle flame, and then we begin to see the light, the non-physical light of the flame. It begins to illuminate our awareness. We begin to start getting cleansed by the silence of the mind. And so when we meditate and we stop our thought, we inherently stop generating the narrative-driven experience and story of the external world. Let me say that again. When we learn to stop our thought, we ultimately stop the world. Now, we're not saying, oh, the world is stopped, like the world outside you is still existing to a degree, but this constant feedback loop that is narrative-based begins to lessen, it begins to weaken. And when we weaken that narrative feedback loop, we actually begin to pull our energy back into our being. We begin to pull our attention and our focus back into ourselves. And we start to reclaim that energy and personal power that we have invested into the world outside of ourselves. So whether you really want to grow deeper in your spiritual evolution and you want to become self-realized, liberated, and enlightened or whatever, or if you just want to live a more focused, powerful life, meditation is the way to do it. And so when we begin to meditate this way and we begin to store and we begin to reclaim our attention, our focus, and all of this energy, it begins to flow back into our being and we begin to become more in touch with ourselves. And when we begin to get more in touch with ourselves, we begin to reveal the essence of who we are, who our true self is, what is actually authentic to us. And when we begin to experience that level of essence and authenticity, then we inherently can see what is correct and true for us in the world and what is not in alignment or what is not true for us. And this is where we begin to start coming in touch with the natural flow of our dharma, the purpose of our life's work, the purpose of our life's incarnation. And we can only know our dharma when we know what is natural and true for us. And your dharma is something that you've always on some level known what that is, but maybe the conditioning and the impressions that you received in the world did not actually allow you to realize that when you were younger. And so when we get older and we start to realize that the world outside of ourselves, there's a lot of suffering and confusion and noise from the external world, we learn to meditate. And so when we learn to meditate, we begin to still that and we begin to stop that ingrained feedback loop with the physical reality outside of ourselves. And it's not that the physical reality outside of ourselves is like wrong or incorrect. It's just that society and culture has influenced that so much to where it is somewhat unnatural. The narrative of society and culture is unnatural for who we are as individual, sovereign, spiritual beings who have come to this lifetime to do something very specific to help humanity evolve as a whole. So learning to meditate, you stop that narrative feedback of the external matrix, of the external world, and ultimately at the higher stages of meditation, the physical experience, the physical manifested reality dissolves because you have pulled your awareness back into that essential self, the true nature, the essence of your being. You dissolve and you become pure light. And when you have become pure light, your awareness is now expanded into infinity and ultimately into eternity. And when you enter that stage of infinity or eternity, there can be nothing keeping you in that physical place because you've attracted all of that awareness up and you've dissolved purely into light. And this is what they call the samadhis. The samadhis are levels of meditative realization or focus to where you have pulled your awareness from being this little individual human and you have essentially merged with the divine, with the sacred, with light, with God, with the goddess, with the universe. So Learning to meditate is this first fundamental step of any sort of real spiritual practice and evolution. We begin to quiet our mind, we begin to still our thoughts, we begin to relax the internal world, and we begin to get more in touch with our essence and our authenticity and our true self. And from there, our entire world is full of limitless potential. We begin to create out of pure happiness, enjoyment, and desire to see our internal aspirations and dreams for the world come to life. It's a very beautiful experience to be able to come to this place of pure potential, pure limitless creation, and then generate that manifestation of creation and artistry in our external world. And it all starts with learning how to meditate. So learn to meditate, and you'll be able to become more sovereign in your experience of life. You won't be easily influenced by the outside world. So if you want some help with this, I would advise you to check out one of my meditation programs or the Mystical Foundations program that I run about 2 to 3 times a year. There's going to be some information in the comment link below or in the description, however you're listening to this. But start to learn to meditate, and you'll be able to go very far in your life. Your entire life will begin to become brighter, stiller, more focused, more peaceful, and more full of life, light, and joy. This has been Taylor Duretti, Mystical Transmissions from the beautiful Laguna Beach. I'll see you later, my friends. Peace, power, and light.